Welcome to the Talk Like a Leader podcast, where we explore the mindset, skill set, and habit set of leadership communication. Using these tips, techniques, and tactics, you'll be able to talk like a leader to build better relationships and get more done. Your host is Guy Harris, who has more than 20 years of combined professional and military experience in consulting, coaching, and training in areas like team and interaction dynamics, communication strategies and tactics, as well as emotional intelligence. Take it away, Guy.
Hi, this is Guy Harris. Welcome to Talk Like a Leader. This week's episode is titled, Put Reciprocity to Work. Now, first, I'll define reciprocity, and then we'll talk a bit about what it means and why it matters to you as a leader and how it affects your communication. So, reciprocity is defined by social science as the tendency that humans have to repay what they've been given. And one definition I've read is that reciprocity is defined as the trait in human beings, apparently as near as I know and as near as I can read, across all people and all cultures and all places in the world, the tendency we have as human beings to feel obligated to repay what we've been given. The idea here is that it's our actions and our decisions and our treatment of others that creates a reciprocal connection with them that inspires them to treat us or view us or engage with us in the same way. It has both positive and negative implications, meaning that if we behave positively towards people, we'll probably get reciprocal positive treatment back. And likewise, if we behave negatively towards people, we'll probably get reciprocal negative treatment back. Now, that's just a social science principle, and it's really critical in terms of thinking about how we communicate as a leader. The title of this podcast is Talk Like a Leader. And really, it's more about the overall communication package that we create in our engagement with our teams and with our colleagues and with our customers. And really, I think in a broader perspective, with our family and friends too. The idea this week is more about what our actions say than what our words say. And I think that words will matter in this context. I think there are things about how you say things and what you say that affect the reciprocal arrangement you have with others. And I think in a bigger context, it's the decisions you make and the actions you take. So let's talk about the implications of reciprocity in the leadership world. I'm going to say that it applies to two really big factors that affect our leadership effectiveness. It's trust and respect. The focus this week is primarily on trust, and it kind of builds on the last two episodes where we talked a bit about trust and relationships on a remote team. And it builds on an idea that I read about in Patrick Lencioni's book, The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, where he says that the foundational or first dysfunction of a team is the absence of trust. So I'm not going to build a case for why trust matters on a team. I'm going to take it as a given, and if you want to go research it, then go, please, read the 5 Dysfunctions of a Team and read Lencioni's argument. I think there's some pretty valid and powerful arguments there for why trust matters on a team and how not having a trusting team can get in the way of getting results. I'm not going to build that case today. I'm just going to go straight for the what can I do to affect trust on my team? And there are many things. One of them is the power of reciprocity. And the idea is this. If I want to build trust on my team, I have to give trust to my team. It's the idea that I want to create a reciprocal loop where I am both extending trust and getting trust, and I'm modeling trust so that my team members will trust me and hopefully, by extension, learn to trust each other. Now, I think we all know that I can't make my team members trust each other. I can model the behavior so that hopefully I'm going to plant the seed of trust within the team. So let's talk about two things that leaders can do, and I think it's probably a bigger mistake as people first move into leadership and they haven't had a lot of experience with leadership, and they're more used to being an individual contributor. That's where these two things are probably most likely to show up. And the truth is I've seen them even with senior leaders who've had a long time in leadership. Well, the two things we can do to unintentionally undermine trust are failing to delegate things, or you could say delegating only small things that are perceived as trivial and insignificant, so not delegating or only delegating small things, and then micromanaging. Let's talk about what each of those means and what we can do to get around that. Well, one of the challenges we face in leadership is that When we don't delegate tasks, particularly important tasks, we basically tell our team, I don't trust you to do this. And I will acknowledge that there is a time and place and an appropriate level of experience and training and all before I'm willing to trust someone with something. I'm going to suggest, though, that it's probably far before they get to 100% competence or confidence in the thing. I read in Colin Powell's autobiography a number of years ago what I think he called the 80% rule. At least that's the way I remember it. And basically it was the idea that if someone can do something 80% as well as you can, it's probably time to turn it over to them. And when I say turn the thing over to them, I'm saying keep in mind the things that maybe you like to do as opposed to the things you need to do. And, it's easy to hold on to things that we enjoy doing rather than letting someone else do them. And by holding on to the things that we enjoy doing, we hurt our team in two ways. It probably hurts us as leaders for moving on to doing things that only we can do because we're doing something that we could turn over to someone else. And we're saying basically, I don't trust you to do this, which is the seed of distrust in my team. So one, failing to delegate or delegating only small things or holding on to things that are very comfortable to you just because they're comfortable to do, rather than pulling back and thinking, how does this affect my team? What message am I sending by not delegating this? And make the choice to delegate in a way that's wise. We don't want fatal mistakes. We accept that when we do delegate, we'll probably get some mistakes, which leads into the idea of micromanaging, because these are sort of connected ideas. Micromanaging is not really an easily defined thing. It's kind of like a thing you know when you see it. But basically, it comes down to this, that you check in or check up too frequently or before you agreed. So if you said, we're going to check in next Friday, and you check in on Wednesday, you just drifted into micromanaging. And I acknowledge things can change and the world can change. You could have agreed to check in Friday, and then you get new information that says you got to check in on Wednesday. That's fine. Just make sure you're clear with the person why you changed the agreement. It's all about managing the expectations of people. So checking in too frequently or before you agreed to, it sends the message that I'm micromanaging. It basically says, I don't trust you to do this well. Another thing that happens in micromanagement is that we nitpick details that are really, frankly, not that important. There's so many things we face in leadership, and a concept that I think I've talked about in prior episodes is the idea of leadership being a complex thing, not a complicated or simple thing. Complex meaning there are multiple right answers, which means that a lot of the things we delegate or that we hand off to members of our team have multiple ways to be done. They're rarely only a single way to get something done. There are times, I understand, that certain processes and procedures must be followed to the letter. The how we get it done is critically important. And for many of the things we do in leadership, how it gets done isn't nearly as important as that it gets done. In order to build trust and respect on our team and to show people that we trust them, we have to allow people to find the way to do the thing we want done in a way that fits their style of work or their approach to things. Again, I know this isn't always true, that how we do things isn't important. I will suggest that it's often true that how we get something done isn't really all that important as long as it gets done. And what we want to do is give people on our team freedom and flexibility to do things in ways that are comfortable to them as long as they don't violate some kind of company policy or procedure or legal requirement or something like that. Key point, micromanaging says I don't trust you. Failing to delegate says I don't trust you. Getting upset over small mistakes says I don't trust you. Learning to make room for mistakes that lead towards education and development and growth, that says I trust you and I believe that you can learn from this. Key point here, back to something I said in the beginning. This episode is more about what you communicate with your decisions and actions than it is with what you communicate with your words. And I'm going to suggest that if you will get comfortable with delegating things, especially important things that say to people, I trust you to take care of an important issue. And if you can keep your hands off of it and let them do it the way that is comfortable to them, with the exception of times when the how is critically important, learn to distinguish when how doesn't really matter that much. If you can keep your hands off of it and let them do it the way that feels comfortable to them, you can talk like a leader. This has been the Talk Like a Leader podcast. You can listen to this show every week wherever you get your podcast. If you haven't, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. I'm Guy Harris, and thanks for listening.